19 to 92. The Gerry Ryan Show, Monday to Friday, 9 till 12 on 2FM.
One day back in the early 1990s, back at a time when we still used punts instead of the euro. What rhymes with punts? Back at a time when Gay Byrne was still the presenter of the Late Late Show, and when coleslaw was still Ireland's favourite salad. An ambitious man from Mayo had a dream. What did he have?
A dream.
And this dream
We do that well, don't we?
and this dream would go on to form a new chapter in the history of Irish music, and ethnic diversity and cultural development. That bit I made. The man from Mayo was inspired by a boy band that had literally taken over the world. That group was called Take That, and their success, musically and financially, convinced him that he could create the ultimate Irish boy band. What are you laughing at, Greg? He knew it was a great idea. It'll be about 12 by the time I'm finished reading this. Oh, sorry. He knew it was a great idea and he fought for his dream because first he was laughed at, mocked at, jeered. When his plan, the 6 potential boys, were unveiled on the Late Late Show, little did anyone, not least the Late Late Show audience, remember the state of them, think that this would be the beginning of something big. Because when 4 of the young men who strutted their stuff that night were joined by a 5th young man, they went on to become one of the most successful boy bands in history. Playing to millions, this is actually true, this bit, playing to millions of adoring fans across the globe and notching up over 7 years no less than 6 number 1 singles and 4 number 1 albums. More than 10 years later, an audit of their accounts would reveal Louis Walsh stole most of the money.
He's not driving a Maserati for no reason.
I'd put that bit in. And this boy band has certainly grown up. They're now men. It's a man band. And this journey has taken many twists and turns, but finally they are back together and ready to take on the world again. In the company of Mr. Louis Walsh, of course. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Ronan Keating, Stephen Gately, Mikey Graham, Keith Duffy and Shane Lynch, the members collectively known as Boyzone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
That was a lovely
That's
intro.
a nice welcome, Gerry.
Lovely
Thanks
intro.
very much.
Must not be any time to talk now.
No, actually, just
Thanks for coming.
very much
See you later,
for
lads.
coming in. And that's a lovely gig. Now, of course, at various different social occasions and on various different occasions when you all at some stage have popped into the studio or come on the air or been found in the gutter or wherever, talk of reunions was always the ghost in the room. And I think probably everybody except you, Keating, thought it would happen within the first year. And it didn't. And I remember looking at some of the early sort of attempts at documentaries about Take That. And it really almost emotionally and psychologically destroyed the guys. You know, just been suddenly taken out of the limelight, been taken away from touring, been taken away from the opportunity to do the one thing that they knew how to do, because let's be honest about it, most of us only know how to do one thing. And Duffy, we know with you what that is. Let's go around the table and let's see, how did it affect you? Start with you, Keith. How did it affect you?
How did the breakup affect me? Well, I suppose I mean I think over the years there was a lack of communication between us, and now that we're back together, it's
even bigger.
Makes no sense. It affected me. I threw myself back into work. I didn't take any time off. I went straight in within the space of.
Oh, that's right. You got a job, yeah.
Yeah, I went straight in working for BBC, doing live television every Saturday morning, and from there I just took whatever job I could take in the public eye to kind of keep my profile or whatever profile I had at the time till I figured out what I was going to do for the future.
And did you shit yourself? You know, what's going to happen now? We'll never be back on stage ever again.
No, I didn't shit myself. I was disappointed because we were after having 6-7 years of absolutely fantastic times, and I would have missed the time and missed the camaraderie with the lads. Is that a word?
Camaraderie.
You know what I mean. It's early.
The crack.
Yeah.
Now, Shane, for you kind of threw yourself into going berserk really for a while, and of course he's a much quieter looking fella now, isn't he?
Looking fella, I don't know.
I thought there's there's a light about you. I think now you look like a relaxed man.
It's a halo.
It's a halo, yeah.
How were you affected?
I certainly went down a bad road for a period of time. All right, a few years there, just on the gargle, on the drink, partying. I was in a bad, not only the Boyzone breakup, but I was in a bad marriage as well at the time, which certainly didn't help situations.
Oh, I saw the headlines there with your autobiography.
Yeah.
I lamped lap dancer.
Yeah, things
So
like
you know
that.
when you're
basically,
writing
you
that
know what I
with
mean?
the person who's doing it with you, think, sure, nobody pick up on this.
Yeah, nobody will see that
except
one, you
10
know what I mean?
newspapers.
No, but that's, I mean, to be honest, I enjoy telling the truth at this point in my life. I have no problem in saying that I was wrong and I slept with a lap dancer when I was married and all that kind of stuff. And yeah.
Don't be dragging any of us into it, okay?
No, I'd say nothing about nobody else. Like, it's just myself there now, my own confessions. You know what I mean? Are you laughing at? But yeah, certainly I had my moments like everybody else. But luckily, I think I came out at the other side of that once.
And how much faith did you have that this moment would arrive when we're all sitting in this kip here?
I had no faith at all that I'd be sitting here, other than hope, to be honest. Like, a funny thing about the whole couple of years ago when all the boys were going to see the Take That concert to say how amazing it was, I couldn't go. I couldn't bring myself to actually see the boys on stage. I was that gutted about not being there myself. I actually couldn't go and see the show. So that's kind of how I felt about it, really.
Young man,
Yes, sir.
how did you feel?
Yeah, I just threw myself into doing a solo album, and I got depressed doing that, and so I just really wasn't in the humour of going around the world again without the guys promoting.
You
so-
maybe had a bit more opportunity, though, than Shane and Keith in terms of music at the time, because I don't know whether it was luck or whether you'd already laid your plans, but the Gately plans seemed to be a bit more developed as a solo.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I didn't have the right management around me when I did go solo as well, but I just wasn't into it. I really wasn't. I missed the guys too much. I found it hard doing interviews on my own, travelling on my own, having no company. It was just weird, so I became a bit of a hermit for about a year, 2 years.
And you're quoted because there's so much actually when you Google this band for quotes. There's so much there. You're described as, locked away in tears, completely hurt and hurting. Admittedly,
that was just yesterday.
Yeah, that was
It wasn't that bad, but I just wanted to be on my own. I just needed to get my head around things. I didn't know where I was going in my life, and I was depressed. I'd broken up from a relationship as well, so I just wanted to take time out and just find myself again, and that's exactly what I did. And then I went into musical theatre, which was fantastic. That really turned my life around.
By the time you'd got into Joseph, for instance, you'd gone through one relationship. Of course, you'd done the thing which is difficult for any Irish person. Even I don't care what anybody says. Even now, you'd done the I'm gay and here's the bloke that I'm gay with and we're whatever, and you did it. And actually, because of the leap of faith that was involved, it actually, I think, worked to your advantage. And I think people were not just sympathetic, because that would be actually useless, really. Sympathy is awful. But they were empathetic. They were quite, sort of celebratory about the whole thing. So that, and of course then, gay, musical theatre. I remember going, yeah, God.
Standard.
Yeah, it's a marriage made in heaven. The man is on. The man is on. So that, I think, probably did work well.
Absolutely. I mean, the support from coming out, from the guys, from my family, from the public, from the press as well, was unbelievable. I mean, I still get letters from people saying that how much that helped them to come out to their parents, and that I get letters from parents saying my child was suicidal, and you really helped them to be themselves and come out and come to terms with their sexuality.
So did you think at that time that it was ever likely that this moment would happen, where we're sitting around here talking about recording, going back on the road, reunited, headlines like we're back for good today in the paper?
Today, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had the want, and it's great that we're all here. I mean, we all kind of, it had to be at a certain time. I mean, I don't think we could have done this about 2 years ago. I think we all needed to be in the right frame of mind. We all needed to be in the same, what are you looking at me for?
Waffling now,
I'm waffling. Right, move on to Mikey, please.
Okay, Mikey. Of course, you and I have talked recently. He was very serious the last time he was in. What were we talking about the last time?
The Hollywood Trials.
Nick's never serious.
Hollywood
He
Trials
was. He had the
programme,
big head of seriousness on him. Yeah.
You had the work head
We
on.
nearly had to put on the valve. We needed to open the valve at the back of his brain to let out some of his seriousness. I remember meeting you. I think it was probably in the Four Seasons Hotel. Fancy that. And I was down having an important meeting with some international client. You laugh now. and you were there, and you were carrying a file, I remember, about some project or some
Nail
plan.
file?
Quick, Gately.
There you go.
You're sitting beside him, you can hit him. And you weren't too
See the way I was
optimistic.
polite and I didn't say anything
Yeah.
to there. So,
Yeah,
you know, this
yeah.
is what
You start getting the
this
piss
is why
taken
I'm
out of you. It's funny how
quiet,
it
you know?
works up the table like that, isn't it? And you weren't particularly optimistic, I think, that things were going in your direction. You were, and I remember meeting at something else in the old Shelburne Hotel, and I wouldn't say that you were suicidal, but you weren't a happy man.
No, I wouldn't say that I wasn't a happy man.
Look, for the purposes of this friggin' story, you were
Yeah, okay.
close to suicide, right?
All right.
Try and stick with it, would
No,
you?
I have to be honest with you.
Christ. Nobody speak to him before he came
Here,
in.
talk to him, will you? Leave me alone.
Anybody text in very important questions, particularly that bird from Ballyhonus, on 51552. Now, Mikey, you were explaining about how you were suicidal after the band broke up.
No, I, to be honest with you, the last time the band was breaking up, I couldn't wait to get out.
All right, on to Ronan then.
Right, that's it. It's my taxi there. Go.
Don't mind him.
Has it always been like this?
Always.
Ringo.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
You're too nice, do you know that? He's a real gent, isn't he? Look.
I'm lost for
Katie,
words
leave
there,
him
you know.
alone, would you?
What do you want to know? What's the question? Can I leave now?
Are you happy? I'm going to say something shallow, empty, and meaningless. Are you happy that you're back with them?
Yes. Is there any other answer? No, definitely. I mean, like I said, years ago when we split up, I couldn't wait to get out of it myself, to be honest with you. And you know,
Could you not?
No, yeah,
Why
that's
not?
a fact. Because I was sick and tired of it back then. You know,
How much
the
did you
workload.
hate them?
No, I didn't hate the lads. I just wasn't into the lifestyle at the time. You know, we had done it for
The
7 or
drugs,
8
the
years.
women, the fast cars.
It was very fast paced. So
What
I
was
was
wrong
looking
with the
forward
lifestyle?
to getting a break. You know,
What was wrong with the lifestyle?
just all the travelling, so on and so forth. I just needed a bit of time to get back to myself, if you like.
You know, by the way, when people like us say the lifestyle, the fella who's just gotten off the 44A listening to this goes, you bastards. But of course, you guys had never had any other lives. People tend to forget that. I saw today you bought your first Porsche when you were 20, Duffy, right?
Yeah.
Right, most fellas are still saving for a rally at that stage. So, yeah, you had no other life. You'd never known anything else except being in a band, really.
Well, I mean, I was 21 when I came into a band. I had, a couple of years before that, all right. But it was just the fast pace of it all. I needed to, get away from that. Just get a bit of clarity back into my life. And I did. And the last 8 years for me have been
Were you
fantastic.
becoming depressed, do you think?
Was I becoming depressed? I don't really think so, no. Not really. I became a bit depressed, I suppose, afterwards when I tried to have a solo career, and then you realise that I didn't have the same platform that I thought I was going to after Boyzone had happened. I thought it was just going to be all easy, basically, but it wasn't that way at all. It's a difficult business.
I think you did very well.
Thanks very much. you fucker.
Well done.
Now, Ronan Keating, or Satan as he's known in the band. You wrecked it for everybody.
I did, yeah.
And you only came back because the lads said they'd kill you.
I know, especially Duffy. He was going to batter me. As you heard from Mick, I mean, I wasn't the reason the band broke up, but I was definitely the reason the band didn't get back together after an amount of time.
God, how much therapy have you been through to be able to say that?
A lot.
Yeah.
It cost me a fortune.
Did you ever miss it? Because you sort of went straight into roller coastering and
Initially, it was a bit of a shock being on my own, but then I got used to it. As you do.
Not having to split the money 5 minutes.
It was brilliant.
thank
I had
God
a
there's
great.
no bitterness from
I had
this.
an amazing experience. I had an amazing time. I had an amazing time at Boyzone, but we were all in the same boat that it was a pressure cooker and we couldn't wait to get out. So, I got away from it and I had a great time. And then after time, I did miss the guys again. I wanted to get back.
Isn't it funny how what the fans and what the public thinks actually is kind of irrelevant? And it's something I think the fans find very difficult to accept, that the internal politics or the dynamic of a group or a band you know, you really don't know the pressures and the heat that's inside it. And I think, you know, like any other breakup before or after or yet to come, the fans probably were rightly pissed off.
And they had every reason to be. It's the way we kind of left it, I think, was the problem. We all kind of ran and disappeared and went into different things, but we had to do it at the time. It made sense to us. I remember we decided we were all in Amsterdam, and
Oh yeah, can you
the
remember?
record was...
Let's talk about deciding to get out and
Yeah.
deciding to get back in.
we had a
Because
huge...
you know, you have to get in to get out.
Got to go there to come back. We were having a really big hit record, and we were having a great time. We were in Amsterdam. They were throwing a party for us. They'd given us gold discs, platinum discs, 4 times platinum or whatever. And the 5 of us just thought, we need a break. We need to get out for a while. And I remember the 5 of us were standing in a toilet chatting about it, because it was the only place we hung out a lot in toilets actually. And we needed a space for ourselves for a few minutes to have a chat, and we were hanging out and we were talking about it. And Universal had offered me a record deal with just after When You Say Nothing at All. I told the lads this.
How did that go down?
They all went, thank God, I could love to get out. And I remember Mick saying, oh yeah, man, I'd love to go and do my thing. And Steve said, I'd love to make everyone was kind of saying, yeah, let's do it. And we did, and we had a great time. For the first 6 months, we all stayed in touch and we talked to each other. And well, most of us, you know, we all talked to each other. And then it faded, you know, and then, you know, people started to say things and things went pear-shaped. And the break led to a break-up, and that's really what happened. Some guys stayed in contact, but some of us didn't, and that's just the way it went. But, you know, I think we...
Of course, the idea of Boyzone didn't die, and that's always the litmus test, really, at the end of the day. I mean, let's be honest about it. There's a legion of a cappella singers and performers and boy bands and groups that have broken up, and maybe some that might even have considered they had a bigger profile internationally even than you, and who just actually disappeared and could never come back. But I think there was a really powerful goodwill out there.
Definitely. That's why we had the opportunity
Yeah,
to
but
get
Gerry,
back.
that's because we're not a boy band. We're a vocal harmony group.
That's because you are actually the Temptations.
I mean, we were very lucky that, you know, we had this second chance, and it's down to the fans. They've given it to us. There was an amazing sense of goodwill. I think as well, Gerry, we were respectful to everyone when we were around the first time. We got on well with everyone. We were a nice bunch of lads that people liked, that, you know, been in our company.
Except for one fella.
And he knows who he is. So, you know, I think that's why we're back. I think that's why we've had this second chance. You know, people want to work with us again. They want to give us another chance. And we're kind of an everyday kind of boy band, you know. We're the type of lads you see on the street. We're not.
But
you know.
you're not boys anymore, though. You know, even though you are very physically attractive.
Thanks, Gerry. Thanks a lot.
Sure, I'm not a boy anymore myself. To realise that only about a month ago.
We're in a
Went
good
very
position.
quiet there, didn't you? On
We're in
my
a good
physical
position
appearance.
because the tour has sold very well, Gerry.
What?
The tour has sold very well. So
Oh, you're going on tour?
yeah, absolutely, yeah. But if the
I
tickets,
told you about it, and I'm going to ask them, when are they getting back together again?
if the tickets hadn't sold, we'd be all in a different place right now. We'd be all.
I wouldn't be
We'd
here.
be worried.
Well, you know something, you know, you're not that stupid. I don't think that you would have put yourselves in a position where you were going
There
to
was a
back a
risk.
complete turkey.
Well, no, absolutely, but it was a risk. You know, we haven't got the control. The amount of venues that were booked, we haven't got the control to be able to comp them all if it didn't sell. You know,
We know a lot of people.
we haven't got that many friends. You know, but it sold, and I mean, we were lucky enough to experience this one time. To get a second chance is unbelievable, and I think we're all very appreciative, and we just want to hold it together and just make it work.
Well, I
and-
tell you, the template, and you know, I don't know them at all, but I've watched them on stage together. Watching Take That, it literally screams, by God, we're happy to be back doing this.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what it is. You know, you can see it in their faces and the way they talk. They really appreciate the opportunity, the second chance. They're loving every minute of it. And we saw that when we were on stage. I'll never forget being in the Point Depot for that Take That show. The sound, the screams.
But we're like that at the moment. I mean, when we're in rehearsals every day, we're all so in great form every day. We haven't had a bad day in the last 3 weeks. It's been just
a laugh.
brilliant, great fun.
Breeze, yeah.
Take That, of course, they spent a lot of money, or at least they seem to have spent a lot of money on the show. Also, they're a little bit older. They put a huge amount of effort into into the performance and the choreography, and some very clever rock and roll tricks put into it as well. So all in all, it's a very strong show. So that's what's got to be delivered, and of course, for better or for worse, that's what you're going to be compared to.
Absolutely.
I think
So
we're
I
very
presume
aware of
that
that.
you
Gerry.
are planking yourselves. If
No,
you're not,
I tell you what, we're not planking ourselves at all.
you should be.
Well, we're not here to rival Take That or beat them. We're here to do the best that Boyzone can do. And we're most definitely very, very confident in the last 3 weeks that we've been rehearsing and how we've come together and how the band sounds and how the production meetings we've had with the tour, the amount of money we're spending. Everything is absolutely phenomenal. It's the biggest and the best tour we've ever done. Physically and mentally, we're more prepared than we've ever been for this. We're fresh. And we're here to enjoy it ourselves. And I think that's the difference. And from what we've done over the last 3 weeks and still 2 weeks to go, it's going to blow people's minds without a shadow of a doubt. No convictions there at all.
Did you hear that?
Oh, I'm
It's
serious.
gonna blow their minds.
It's fantastic.
It's going to be amazing.
Well,
very
unfortunately,
exciting.
it has to be amazing. That's the whole problem. But you'll know.
Why, unfortunately?
Well, because it wouldn't it be great if you could just kind of slide into it?
Yeah, no production. Make more money. 5 spotlights. There we go.
That'd
lads.
be great.
That's what we want.
And
We
an
want people to
acoustic
realise-
set with more credible guys. What do you think?
We've spent the money on the set. I mean, we're
Scrabble
spending
for
nearly
the
3
bank
million
balance.
quid on the set, on the production. You know, it's not a money-making exercise. It would be easy to do that. It's not. You know, we want to, show people that, we're putting on a serious show. We're spending the money and we're back.
Who burped there?
That was Louis.
Can you recall who the real catalyst was? Who was the glue that kind of brought it back together again? Was it that moment? I mean, for me, standing there watching Take That, and then it comes to the boy band medley, and then it comes to the Boyzone part, and I'm going, wow, I can recognise the dance moves, I recognise the songs, and you're going, oh yes, I'd forgotten how significant Boyzone were in this
it was
story.
me.
You know,
I brought them all back.
did you?
Yeah.
That's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know if there was any specific moment that got us to here today, other than a fair few
Who
years.
made most of the moves on it?
Lindsay rang us and told us that you wanted us on, and we all said, yeah, it's
your fault.
Here we are.
Well, I
Where
think
it all starts to go
There was a
down.
number of different things.
Yeah.
Schmeikey speaking.
Like, there was the Take That tour, which I went to see the first one in Dublin, and when I saw that show, I knew that we had to try to do something ourselves. So I was straight on the phone to Shane, Ronan, and slowly over the next year and a half or so, there were different things that slowly brought us to the realization that maybe this could work. So again, slowly, we had like meetings with Louis, our other manager Mark Plunkett, our promoter John Giddings.
John Giddings, there's a name.
Yeah, so they were all
Rolling Stones.
every step was very positive, and really that's it. It was a number.
And did you have to go through, the catharsis, the kind of the psycho screaming? Did you have to go, yeah, I'll get back together again, but only if your man says he's sorry to me?
Well, no, none of us were like that except for one fella. And he knows who he is. But, not really. I think we all approached it in a very in a way that was as mature as we could be about it.
The thing about Boyzone the first time round, Gerry, is that we all had issues and problems with each other, but we always hid them.
Except for one fella.
Except for one fella. We bottled it all up. We all got on extremely well, but any time there was issues, it was never really dealt with. And people had asked, did you ever have fights? And we'd always say, no, we never have fights. It's because we always bottled it, and we held back and said nothing.
Well, as well as that, because we were a young pop band, you weren't supposed to be. You were supposed to present an image of cleanliness and holiness and all kinds of stuff like that, really, whereas in reality, once we were off stage, we were young fellas of 18 to 21 doing what young fellas do, but you couldn't talk about that.
So I think the strength this time round is that, we're older, and I think that's what's worked for Take That. They've dealt with stuff up front. And we've done the same. We've no issues between each other. If we have, we talk about it. It's sorted. We're getting on better than we've ever gotten on before. It's a nice atmosphere. Honest to God, it's a nice atmosphere between the five of us, Gerry.
And Louis Walsh is buzzing, and he's running around like he did 15 years ago when we started off. He's excited by it again, which is great for all of us.
I think that's one of the most fascinating parts of it, is that through all the slagging, the rumours, the posturing, and half the time, as I did a Ryan Confidential with Louis, and You know, you can never really tell whether the guy's making it up or whether it's real. Did it actually happen? It's always good. It's always good copy, and you're blessing yourself and you're thanking yourself as an interviewer. You know, it doesn't matter whether it's true or not, I don't know. I mean, I often actually thought after the Ryan Confidential interview I did with Louis, should I get back to the lads? Should I ask them if that really happened or if that's really true? And then I thought, no, because I won't be able to put out the feckin' thing then.
Right.
But he's gone the distance as well, for better or for worse.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I think Louis as well, after all that he has done, not only through the years of Boyzone and after that, he's had his own personal journey of growth, if you like. And
Has he?
well, I think so, yeah. I think we've all kind of changed in many ways. And once again, it leads us to this point, which is...
Do you know what he
very
is? He's the
comfortable.
glue in the machine.
He is
It
the
doesn't
glue.
matter what anybody says. This man came to pass, and so much happened as a result
Certainly.
of him.
Well, you read it in the beginning there. You talked about people slagging off and this, that, and the other, and we were a big part of that. And obviously, Louis he stood behind us. For 1993, he said, "Lads, don't mind them. Any press is good press." That's what he always told us.
Never let the
And he
truth
promised
give
us
away
the
the good
sun, moon,
story.
and stars. You know, and he gave
I've
it to
often
us.
wondered about that. Believe it or not, you may be surprised at this, but there have been low moments in the way the press have reviewed some of the work that I've done. I know it's hard.
It's hard to believe.
Hard to believe. And I remember one Sunday waking up and there was a picture, there was a cartoon of a turkey with my head on it in reference to my latest television project. And at the time, I think it was Ryan Town. And I remember looking at it and going, ringing up the guy who was producing. I said, "Oh, this is bollocks. I'm not doing this anymore." And he went, "No, there's no such thing as..."
Bad
And I could
press.
feel him pinching himself. No such thing as bad press. I always felt like just saying, yeah, well, it's not your freaking head
on the turkey.
that's on the turkey. You know? Boyzone in studio. Lots of texts coming in. Let's have a look at this. Hi, Gerry. I love the show. Oh, it's about me. It's great to see... Oh, no. It's some stuff about you as well here. It's great to see the boys back together. Been a fan since day one when they performed in the Summerhill Community Centre in Meath.
Wow.
Best wishes for the future, Tanya. There's a lot of positive stuff coming in
Thanks,
here.
Tanya.
What do you guys think of Colin and Jim and Stephen and Ronan?
We went on it last week,
Yeah,
Stephen
so
and I.
the real...
We had a great laugh with
Shut
them.
up.
Stevens.
What, Ronan? I don't know. Hot point.
Because you know, Colin and Jim think that's why Boyzone got back together again.
Oh, it is.
Oh, did they? Oh, well, if they want to believe that, great. Keep going, lads.
Ask the lads if they're going to do a gig in Galway.
But there's talk about doing some regional shows. We're not sure. We're just trying to get it into the diary at the minute. It's full on all the way till the end of August.
Ronan, are there still tickets available?
There's some tickets. Only a couple of tickets left for Dublin.
15, I think.
Yeah,
it was,
15,
wasn't
20 maybe. There's some shit. Yeah, 28th of June in the
That
RDS.
thousands or just 20?
Stevens, will you?
We're opening the show in Belfast and then we're finishing it in Dublin.
Yeah.
You did
And
the
the
Odyssey
UK's in the
Arena,
middle.
yeah?
We're doing the Odyssey for a few nights and then we're doing the RDS here on the 28th of June.
Yeah.
And there is tickets still available for the Dublin shows.
So
We supported by Sugar Babes as well, which is
a good
Great.
plan.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
big show as well. It's, I mean, it's going to be a big night. It's our last show on the tour.
We can't
So
wait
it's
to
gonna
play
be a
Dublin
blast.
again.
Who's going to move one of the Sugar Babes then?
I will.
Stephen will have them all.
I have to tell you, Stephen, that will get the headlines. Lads, really enjoyed your performance at the Meteor Awards recently. You haven't lost it from Karen. Hi, great, Gerry,
Thanks,
to see the
Karen.
lads enjoying the interview, out for a walk and laughing, listening to you all, Michelle and Cork. Laughing with you, not at you.
oh good.
But lads, what are we going to do with the name? Seriously. Boyzone.
Boyzone.
Yeah, I mean, we're
Actually,
not
that's-
boys, you know.
Well, you could...
That's a name, isn't
It's
it?
a name, it's
It's
just a
an
name.
old
Did you
name.
worry about that?
We did in the beginning.
Oh, sorry, Keith, did you worry about that?
Well, you know, Gerry, I was
After you
thinking
grew up.
about it. No, I'm not worried about it at all. I just don't want to grow up. I want to be a boy.
Well, nobody's disputing that now.
You are, aren't you?
Is it, when you were talking about the media awards there, you know, it's, as you were saying, it was good to see us back. That was one of the moments for us guys actually, because we had a meeting in the dressing room and it was, look lads, these are a credible audience. This is not what we're used to. So we'll go out here, keep the head down, do what we have to do and get off the stage. We didn't expect anything. We thought we were going to get booed off the stage and it blew our minds. It was unbelievable. We turned around to an electrifying audience and it frightened the life out of us. It really did. It frightened the life out of us, and we it was a great stepping stone to see, or a great foundation to see what the tour had was going to hold for us.
Well,
do you
it's
know what
like
I mean?
like putting your toe into the sea. It's
Absolutely.
like, is it going to be cold? Is it
Oh,
gonna
it
be
shocked
hot?
me so much I sang the
Absolutely.
first verse twice.
You know, that media awards. First of all, your colleagues and your peers are there, because I was there, was given the special award for Joe Dolan, posthumous something or other, and I was saying, Jesus, why am I like giving a contemporary award? But I underestimated. You know, that obviously Dolan had a huge, level of respect that went right across the board. Yeah. And I was shitting myself going out to they're going to start shagging things up at me now in a minute. And it is a serious audience, both your peers, your colleagues, the people in the audience itself. And then further behind the whole thing, the Boyzone judging panel are there.
Yeah.
Totally. You know.
Well, it's funny because when we were kind of going, it was Oasis and Blur. And they were kind of the cool bands around at the time. Now there's so many, the Snow Patrols and the Cars and the Muppets, and there's so many, there's something and other. And
we could be happy.
There's so many of them. And we were backstage, and they're all big bands now, and we're just, we thought they'd all be looking at us and laughing at these cool guitar bands. They're all coming up going, I was a big fan when I was 15. You wouldn't sign that for me, and you wouldn't sign this for me.
It's good to have gotten that out of their system, and people can now say that they actually did enjoy Boyzone.
19 to 92. Gerry Ryan on 2FM.
Boyzone in studio, we're getting plenty of reaction in terms of the audience. Everybody's, I think in the main, it would be fair to say, delighted that you're back, and the welcome is writ large listening to what they're saying to everybody who's listening.
Thank you.
Now, the show itself, let's talk about that, because you were talking about large and expensive staging. It's kind of got to be.
Well, it is. I mean, we've been spending a lot of time watching other people's shows on DVD and so on, and we've taken, what we've seen, what they've done, and what's out there right now, and take that as well, what they did with the last tour. They spent a lot of money on the production, and we know we can't go out with a flat stage and 5 mics and a small lighting rig. We've got to put out a big show.
No, in fact, take that look like they've been watching Zooropa.
Well, that's kind of what we've been watching. We've been watching all the big shows, the U2 shows and so on, and the Kylie shows and the Madonna shows, and we've gone for the big, the big screens. We've gone for, 8 dancers,
Special
dancers,
effects.
Serious special effects. It's going to be incredible.
Fantastic costumes, I have to say. Really fun costumes, a lot of them.
What are you laughing at, Sophie?
Let
Gately talk about the costumes if he wants to.
He loves getting dressed
Don't mind
up,
him,
doesn't
Steve.
It's a beautiful ball gown.
Anything that sparkles, I'll wear it.
Would you like to tell us about the costume, Stephen?
No, I'll leave that to Keith. Keith, go on. Explain the costume.
Uh,
Well,
Now
we're not
you're
actually going
buggered
to
now,
be
Duffy.
at the show.
What?
We have this special effect that's like holograms of the 5 of us. So we can actually sit in our sofa while we play the RDS.
I presume if that was possible, you would actually. And you could rock back into Coronation
We were
Street.
trying to get that,
We did try. No, that was too expensive for that particular machine. So we have to turn up ourselves. Their clothes are fantastic. They really are. We're doing a medley in the middle.
You should always get the guy to explain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Explain about the clothes. Really.
Yes, Dave, tell us
No,
about the
no.
clothes.
Who's gonna-
You're doing a grand job there on yourself.
How many
Okay.
costumes? I mean, Kylie does something like, it's
8 or 9.
8 or 9 costume changes.
We've got we're doing a medley, and we've got about 4 different costume changes within that, and then there's a fantastic Regency costume at the end that we're doing. It's
Ooh,
all
that
very
sounds like Elton John. It's something to do with that.
regal and
Elton, yes.
it looks fantastic.
Verne
and
type of vibe,
Yeah,
yeah.
cravats and
Shane, you look
top
good
hats
in that.
and so on.
Oh, thanks. It'll be the first time you'll ever get me in a cravat. And the last, I tell you.
And we've got the opening's quite futuristic in a sense.
When it comes to the costuming, is it, but you know the way there was always one bloke when you were going to the Debs dance, I'm not wearing a bleeding diggy bow. As a matter of fact, I'm not wearing a bleeding suit either.
Well, it was funny. We used to all be like that. I'm not wearing that. I wouldn't be got dead in that. And now we're all,
No, it's only one fella.
We're just happy to be back, so we're doing what we're told.
We're enjoying it. We get it. We get the whole thing now. We know that it's
Will there be, one has to have a sense of humour about oneself as well.
Yeah.
I presume that
big
will
time.
be.
Yeah.
Well, very much so. In the show, we definitely, as Boyzone, we always had a sense of humour about ourselves because we had to.
We had to.
With this show, most definitely, I think it's very much our personalities involved, and we had to have that as well. There's no point in giving us the best kind of choreographer in the world to come in and make us do stuff that we probably can't do in the first place, and B, will strip us from who we are. And I think it's important we show.
Are you going to dance? Because, you know...
Oh, yeah. There's
I
plenty
mean,
of that.
take that and poor old Gary Barlow and Jesus, I thought he was going to have a heart attack. With all due respect. And then, of course, you've got Mark and Westlife. Thought he was going to have a heart attack as well.
No, we're all.
Who's
very
the Boyzone
prepared
heart
for
attack?
No, it's going to be brilliant. It really is. We've kind of involved ourselves a lot more than we used to. Most definitely, a lot more than we used to. And I think one to do with the medley that's involved, one to do with great ideas.
Is there a theme?
There's four different themes that run out through the whole show, really.
Are we allowed to talk about that?
Not really.
I'll give them something. Come on.
Well, there's the Jules Verne
Make
theme at
something
the
up
end,
there.
which is, you know,
Jules Verne.
it's kind of a Jules Verne feel
Yeah.
at the end, yeah. Kind of top hats, tails kind of look.
And watch out for the afros.
And the canes. And then, yeah, that's all we can tell you.
The afros, yeah.
That was a good clue. Watch out for the afros.
And Call on Me.
Watch out for the afros,
Yeah.
Jules Verne.
That's something else.
I know. Could you imagine that?
I like that, actually. That'd be quite cool.
That might work.
Gay black guys underwater. Is that it? It cuts across a lot of demographics. Because there was also during the Take That concert, they seemed to be fairly determined that, you know, I think they felt very strongly maybe with the introductions and the way that the shows were constructed originally, that they were kind of robbed of their personalities.
Yeah.
And they did really, I don't know whether it was entirely appropriate this time, they decided to tell kind of the Take That story. I mean, it was interesting, but I was just wondering as I looked and went, actually, who gives a shit about this, really? I was just wondering about that. Will there be any, and now for the bitterness section?
No, not really.
No,
I
definitely
think
not.
the show overall does have elements that represent who we are as people, but that's combined into great entertainment, you know, with all the different themes and the tricks and everything else that goes on. So, I mean, it's the biggest and best show that Boyzone have ever put on.
It's the greatest hits, really.
It's very
You know-
raunchy, actually.
Yeah.
It's a very
sexy.
raunchy show. We've never done something like that before.
I remember you dropping the trousers.
I'm dropping the cacks, yeah.
Are you back to that, are you?
Oh, you're back to that same. We'll have to get the story in the paper, you know what I mean? Have to be talking about the show.
He's not wearing them to drop them now.
No, it's a very raunchy show, I have to say. We've never done stuff like that before.
Did you not?
No,
No,
not
like we're
really.
doing
No.
this time
I
round.
suppose maybe the mists of time have clouded my memory of it. Yes, I suppose really there was a lot of stools. I remember that. Very long.
What sense are you talking?
Gerry?
In the Gillian McKeith sense?
What
or,
sort of stools are they?
I presume there's a few stools at the moment.
Our diets, you wanna?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Excuse me,
You're
can I
not
put your
eating
stool in?
anything, basically. Sure, you're
And
not.
we're just not eating proper food. Like, well, proper food. We're not eating. What
Have
way
you
we
got a
used to eat.
dietitian, a rock dietitian? You know these people who give you, and look, try and imagine this potato.
No,
yeah.
Then I'll give you a leaf.
We're all doing our own individual thing, aren't we? Really, we're
Yeah.
all.
They're all pretty
dieting.
similar diets, though. And all we do all day is quite boring. Is talk about you're not eating that in front of me. You can't be eating that. Oh, you're not eating that.
I'll just have plain chicken.
There's
Plain
always
chicken.
one or two people who just they could eat abracadabra until it came out their ears and it would make no difference.
Shane Lynch.
Yeah.
Look at him.
Terrible. Looks amazing and can eat wherever he wants.
The metabolism of a psychotic tiger.
Yeah.
Nah, they work hard to keep
good,
it off,
isn't it?
though, in fairness.
That's a
That's
good,
a good line.
We'll
Yeah.
use that. That'll be on stage now.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome Shane Lynch,
metabolism
the
of-
psychotic tiger.
Gladiators.
Now, I suppose also, you know, it would be stupid to not, pay at least lip service to all the families and the nearest and the dearest that are behind this as well. Because it's not always a cause for celebration when you rock back home and you go, hey, great news, I'm going back out on stage. Oh, really? You were happier with the way it was? How did the nearest and dearest react?
I mean, I think generally through the band, they've worked with us on it because it was a big step for the five of us to get back with the band and to commit to it again. And it was something that we've taken 2 years really to decide on. And through that time, we've had to, obviously discuss it numerous times with our families. But we wouldn't be doing it without their support, that's for sure, because it is a huge commitment.
Did you have to go back and ask permission?
I don't think of ask. It was working together
Keith
on it,
did.
really. I mean, yeah, Keith probably
Dovey
did.
had to
Yeah.
ask permission.
Did you have to ask permission?
No, Lisa's
I
always
actually
been very
believe he
supportive.
would have had to ask permission.
No, Lisa's always been 100% behind me in everything I've done. She might not like the fact that we're going to be away or spending time away from home, but she's always supported me 100%. But it is going to be difficult because my son now is 12, my daughter's 8. And, you know, in days gone past, they were too young to understand that Daddy was away from home quite a lot. And just this last week has kind of proven to me that it's going to be an awful lot more difficult than I had anticipated. We've been away in London for the last week and a half, and Lisa and the kids were down in Spain. And
you do an awful lot at home, don't you?
Absolutely. I mean, I
Mainly
do the dishwasher, empty it,
dishwashing, yeah.
and put the dishes away and do the hoovering. And, you know, I find it a great way of kind of staying grounded.
You're always at
Jerry.
it at home, aren't you? Clean.
Always at it, yeah. But I'm going to miss the kids, and they're going to miss me, and it's going to be a tough time, and we're going to have to work hard to keep it, like, you know.
Yeah, but you know what? I go back to try telling the fella on the 44A
I know, yeah,
bus,
yeah,
you
you're
know.
right, yeah.
You know, my kids are excited. My kids can't wait to come to the shows because they didn't get to see it the first time round. That's what's brilliant.
fantastic.
You know, Jack, Missy, and Ali, they'd be sitting
Can I
there
give you a
watching
bit
us
of
like-
advice? Don't ask them what they thought.
All right. Kids.
Did you see me on the telly last night, lads? Yeah. Ma was saying that. No, all right, okay. Well, do your friends watch it? No. Ma was saying that.
Yeah.
But it'll be wonderful to have them in the audience.
Adam,
How
it'll be
old?
great.
What's the demographic of children?
Keith and Mike.
I'm not referring to you now. Right?
Yeah, we have 12-year-olds.
I have a 12-year-old daughter, Hannah, and I have a 2-year-old daughter, Sienna.
Okay.
Mine are 9, 7, and 3.
I have a 3-year-old Shih Tzu dog, Bentley.
Well, he's no option but to like it, or you can just put him down. That'd be great with your kids. You didn't like the show, did you not? Right, put him down. Children?
Yeah, Mia is 8 and Jay is 12.
And you're still praying.
No, my wife, she's 3 months now.
Jerry Ryan exclusive.
And
Look
are you
at that.
the father?
I'm the father. Yeah.
Jerry
And that
Ryan
is an exclusive,
Isn't that
actually.
great?
He
Isn't
saved
it?
that for you, Jerry.
Yeah.
He hasn't told us.
Congrats. Do you know what? I'm
very much.
absolutely delighted for you.
Thanks
Yeah.
very
That's
much.
fantastic.
Brilliant
you.
news.
Your
Yeah.
first bambino.
First Bambino on the way.
We're delighted.
She
for him.
says to me a few months back when we found out, I was going on tour. She said, "I better be pregnant before you go on tour." She said, so I had to, get the cacks off.
He's good at that.
Away we went, and now she's 3 months now.
Do you
so
know
I'm
what?
delighted.
You're a worker, really, aren't you?
That's it, yeah, flat
You're
out.
a worker bee. He's a worker bee.
Metabolism of a tiger.
Have you the biggest willy in the band?
Oh,
Actually?
definitely, yeah.
I presume that's worked into the act, is it?
Yeah.
12-inch Lynch, that's what they call me.
Well, it'll sell tickets. That's the only thing I'd say. Yeah, that's the only thing I'd say.
We're sending him out naked for the finale.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of supporting the show, apart from 12-inch Lynch, the support that will require,
Oh, yeah.
I presume we'll have to
That's
talk
the
to
headline now.
the staging people.
I'm his personal dresser.
Yeah. Why have I no problem, Billy? But you've been around him for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
We're just friends. The temptation to go back into the studio, apart from rehearsing now, must be very, very strong.
We've been recording now for about 8 months trying to find the Boyzone singles. And I think we've 2. We have 2 new singles. 'Cause for the greatest hits, we're going to have 2 new singles.
And I recall the original process because there was a tiny, small part that certainly my missus played. And I remember her sitting with Louis and going through songs. And Louis said, "Do you ever hear this? Do 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 you ever hear this?" And of course, she'd heard of a lot of it.
Yeah.
And that, I don't know whether the process was ever any more sophisticated than that. It worked.
Absolutely
It
worked.
totally worked.
Totally worked, yeah.
So what process is in play
Well,
this
we're
time?
writing now. I mean, I'm in the studio all the time writing. Mikey's in the studio. He's writing constantly. I mean, we're always, all of us are in there together then and working on
Is he
lyrics.
writing songs, though?
Real songs, yeah. Yeah, real songs as well. It's it's a tough process, but because we're struggling to find out what we want Boyzone to sound like this time around. That's the difficulty. It'd be very easy to get one of the big ballads and put it out there and go with it, but
We want to do something different
Yeah.
that's hip
Do
and
you?
happening. And
yeah, we want to be a
cool.
bit different, left to
And I
centre.
think the first single that we found is stunning.
But a good song's a good song is a good song.
Hands down, you can't beat that.
know,
And
so you
what?
can-
We will probably revert to that after all.
And, you can bring in Snoop Dogg, Kanye West,
Yeah.
Franken, whoever, and and it can be incredible, and it can be in surround sound, and it can be ultra credible. And
We're not looking to be credible. We're just looking to, entertain people this time round.
it's got to be a good song, because the one thing they were always, they were crowd pleasers, right?
Yeah.
And when the opening bar of every Boyzone hit had a different emotional reaction with the audience.
Oh, we were very lucky that we had that, and thanks to Louis and his choice of songs over the years, it worked. And he's out there again, he's trying to find songs, and we're trying to write songs, and between us, hopefully we'll find these 2 new songs. But, we've got about 25 songs now.
Got a
written
good
and
album there.
Are
recorded.
these original songs? 25
songs,
originals?
yeah, but
Most of them
most
yours,
of them.
Mikey, are they?
No, not all of them, but a number of them myself and Ronan wrote together. So, yeah, there you are now, Jenny. Right? Smart
How
ass.
do you?
This could be
That
good.
look.
This means more money.
I mean, we've always written half the albums over the years. I mean, and we probably wrote half the singles. I mean, Different Beat, Coming Home Now, they're all written by Boyzone.
Just remind us, how many singles were there?
17,
18 or 18 altogether, yeah.
16, 17 or 18.
It is actually an incredible track record, isn't it?
Huge number.
18 top 3s, 6 number 1s.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It was a good run.
I mean, I can't really think of a better reason to get back in there. Will you be able to resist? And it's a difficult thing to resist. I know, folks. I know that you're all waiting for the hits, but myself and Mikey have been writing a few songs.
No, it's not
together.
going to happen.
That's
not
something
gonna
that
happen on the
we're
tour.
very, very aware of. The people who are coming to our show, they want to hear all the hits, and that's what they'll be provided with.
Oh, by the way, there are hugely exalted people. I sat watching Bowie years ago, and I was going, "Great Life on Mars, Gene, I can't wait. Tonight's going to be different." And I went, "Oh, shite."
Yeah.
Oh, no,
I remember going to
the
a
greatest
Prince
hits.
concert.
This is the greatest hits tour.
Do you remember the Prince concert?
Yeah, and he done the same. And,
we
he said if
didn't
you came here
recognise
to
anything.
see to hear Purple Rain,
Yeah.
you're at the wrong show. So, jeez, people go along to see.
I don't
to
think,
hear
mind
the
you,
hits.
he'll make that mistake this time round.
No, I don't think so.
no.
But that's what this is all about. There's a nostalgia about the whole show. The fans have come along, have a really good time hearing all the old hits, and it's not going to be something that, like you say, this is going to be different tonight. Myself and Ronan have written this song, and getting deep and meaningful or something. It's about having a good night.
It's a greatest hits tour. We're giving people what they want. It's about nostalgia, and we're looking forward to that too. It's 18 hit singles. I mean,
How extensive is the tour going to be? I mean, what's booked? What are you committed to at the moment?
committed to the end of August. We've got the UK and Ireland arena tour, and then we do the open airs through the summer in the UK, which is Edinburgh Castle and Carlisle House and so on. And hopefully by the end of that, we're going to have the first single on the radio, and then the greatest hits will follow probably October, November. And that's us till the end of the year. We don't know what's going to happen after that. It's just time will tell what's going to happen.
And how conservative are you going to be? I mean, are you going to resist the plane? Are you going to resist the 5-star suites?
No.
No.
No. Why would we want to be doing something silly like
No,
that?
what's the point? Go to work. I'll let
Go
you.
and enjoy it,
Yeah,
Go and
no,
enjoy
absolutely. Well, do you know something? I'm delighted you're back.
Thank you,
It'll
Gerry,
be
very
interesting
much.
to see what happens. I think there's a sort of given in that, there's a constituency or a community or a country of fans out there who already have made their minds up, and they're saying yes, they're voting yes, and it's
Yes.
not for Lisbon, it's for Boyzone.
Boyzone
And
treaty.
Yes.
after that, then it'll be interesting to see what happens for a whole new generation, who didn't get to experience it, because it's vibrant and alive enough now for a whole new bunch of people to experience it, and it would be good. I think I'm looking forward to bringing my children to see it,
Great.
and for them to kind of understand what it was all about, and them telling their friends, and then the whole thing is alive and well and living.
Yeah. Please God, yeah. Definitely.
Okay, it's been lovely having you boys.
Thanks
Thank you
Gerry.
very much.
Thanks for your time.
Without being cheesy, it's the 28th of June. Was that
28th of
cheesy?
June.
RDS.
No, there's
RDS.
nothing cheesy about that. There's nothing cheesy about selling tickets.
28th of June in the RDS.
And there are 15 tickets left.
1,000.
Tickets.
Get them now. Good morning, guys.
Thank you very much,
Bye.
Gerry.
Have a
God
good
bless.